everybody. Brett Baker here with Sandler Training at Trust Point, and we have Tom Douglas with J Mark, and we are here having a conversation based around Springfield Business Journal's Trusted Advisor event. And we're just going to hit some topics and peek into a little bit of Tom Douglas's beliefs, and I'll try to stay out of it. So, Trusted Advisor. Tom, when I see that, Bev and I we love this event, and we've sponsored it for the last several years, and it's because that Trusted Advisor word's kind of important to us. So whether it's the CPA, attorney, insurance guru, sales marketing person, these people get these awards because they've been in it long enough to have clients that probably justify that word. I think it's used too loosely, but I won't get on my soapbox on that. Before we get into the Legacy Award that you're receiving, can you just talk a little bit about Trusted Advisor word? Because I'd be curious to hear your beliefs on that.
Well, thanks, Brett, and thanks for sponsoring it, because I think this is a special event in Springfield where we get to celebrate people who have established things that are hard, that take time and patience and diligence. And so I think your sponsorship kind of exemplifies how important it is for those roles to be a part of the DNA of the business community in Springfield. So we appreciate you being involved. As a part of the Trusted Advisors, I think that what's happened, to your point of it being overused in today's world, I think way too often we don't know when we're being sold, because we're going to experts in areas that we don't know, that we don't understand, that we need help. And over time, there's been a lot of people that have taken advantage of those relationships and situations. And this award is focused on people who have been nominated by their customers and their peers because they've fought through that stigma and established a track record of doing the right things for people. And sometimes that means that we walk away from business, and you've done that when you're not the right fit, or the client's not ready, or a circumstance may not align. Whatever that is, I think these people are a special group of individuals who have navigated through the waters of business, and people now see them as someone who they just know they're going to do the right thing.
Yeah, well said. So switch gears for me. One part of this event is the Legacy Advisor. Mm-hmm. And I have to admit to you that sometimes I think when I think of it, or people think of legacy, it's like, okay, this person has arrived and they have this legacy and we're honoring them, and they're kind of in their accomplished it. So, but when I think of Tom Douglas getting this award, I'm thinking, there's the past, there's all the success, but heck, he's not done. I mean, he isn't like, okay, I've got my legacy. Speak to what's that mean to you and the whole legacy thing?
Well, at first I thought it meant that I was old, and so I'm not sure. But what I think it means is that when we think about legacy, it does mean a period of time, but I think it means that you're doing the right things for a longer period of time, that it's not just in a bubble, and it's not just, kind of while you're climbing the mountain or establishing yourself in business. I mean, I think this says that the community has come to trust an individual over a longer period of time, and they've sustained in business and continued to grow and be successful. And at the end of the day, it's about, how do we create value for others? How do we have fun in business? And how do we help other organizations navigate through kind of the challenging times? And to be honored with something so special as this, to me, is just it's a gift. It's very cool.
Well, I want to stay there if you let me, because I know you have a big team. I get the honor of working with some of your people, so I feel it too. It's a huge team. I would even say family. But the Legacy Advisor is one person, and that's you. They're honoring. Mm-hmm. So is there a personal thing? Is there can you stay there? What's it personally to you? I mean,
and it's special. You work hard to do the right things over a period of time, a long period of time, and you hope that people trust you. I mean, you always try to do the right things. You try to go out of your way to make sure that you're serving those that give you the gift of time, money, and energy. And I think when you get to that point and they recognize you in something as cool as this award, I guess it's just kind of a level of gratification, or that others see something special that you're putting your heart into. And we all know when we get to be recognized for something that we just really believe in and we fight for, and really build a life around, that's a special thing.
It's interesting. I think when this was announced that you were the legacy advisor, I could kind of hear through the grapevine of JMark. It's kind of like, yes, like, of course, so it's pretty cool. Future. So let's put away the legacy password, and when you think about future and growth, how are you messaging that today for either Tom or the whole JMark team? What's the growth? What's the future?
What's the future? Well, I think business is going to get harder. The people challenges, the economic challenges, we know we're going to be dealing with the turmoil, and then enter in all the shifts that are happening with technology in today's world around artificial intelligence and machine learning, and what that means to businesses and how they incorporate it into their organization. And there's so many people that are worried that, it's going to replace my job, and it's going to do this, and it's going to do that. And I think what we have to lead through, and we want to make sure our community is comfortable with, is that these technologies aren't to replace people, they're to enhance people. If you think about how much more efficient you are now with email than you were with a fax machine, in written messages, that's going to be what happens in the next generation of technology. It doesn't replace people. You still type, you still send the messages, you still correspond with individuals, but now we're going to have a better tool like a spell check or a calculator that's going to help us to navigate through business. And so when we think about the future of business and IT and technology and where things are going, I think we're in for some troubling times as these things weave into our business, but I think ultimately we're going to be better businesses as a result of what happens.
So Tom, go back to you made the comment of enhancing versus replacing. Mm-hmm. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So let's say there's somebody listening to this that is working in the trenches, so to say, whatever level, leadership or whatever, but they're in the game every day, and they're hearing you say replace or enhancing versus replace, but they still have that thought, am I going to be replaced? Is there something, is a machine going to do? Can you just talk about the enhancing part? Because that's what people probably need to start to believe in, that it's not going to take them.
Yeah, well, so there's a couple of different things that I think are important to understand around advanced technology as a whole. That one, businesses have to get the foundation right. You can't build a skyscraper on sand. It's going to crumble. And so when people and technology and those foundational components are done well, then it's about how do we bring in advanced technology so that we can scale the organization. And so what it turns into is an organization becomes more enhanced is those individuals can produce more work because of the tools that are at their disposal. So if we make the correlation to something as simple as that we think is simple as Microsoft Excel, I think if you told an accountant in today's world that they had to do their job, but they had no access to any spreadsheets or Google or anything like that, that they would get a little twitchy and like, well, how am I going to do my job? But what we know about looking back in history and understanding how technology advances and then applying some of those methodologies moving forward, history is going to repeat itself, because when we had ledgers and pen and paper or pencil and paper and we were doing it, it was very laborious, very time-consuming. One accountant could only do so much work in a period of time. Fast forward to Excel, and one accountant can support twice as many people, twice as many processes, or maybe 10 times as many businesses even in doing that. And we're going to see that same occurrence happen. So financial analysis can be done with machine learning and artificial intelligence, and job descriptions can be done by using ChatGPT and structuring some things right. So human resources, can be more efficient in what they're doing. So as an organization, what that allows businesses to do is to have a smaller team of more empowered individuals that can get more done, which creates the opportunity for efficiencies, profitability, growth, reinvestment into the business, whatever may be appropriate.
Okay. What if a leader doesn't embrace advanced technology?
Yeah, it's one of my biggest fears for business leaders today because it's scary. There's security concerns. There's, I don't understand it. It's over my head. I don't want to learn a new technology. All of those things are there. But it scares me for those businesses because it's going to become the DNA of business in the future. And so you can either embrace it and get on the truck, or the truck's going to run you over, one of the two. So it's just a matter of when and how soon. And I would encourage people to just start embracing advanced technology now. That doesn't mean that they have to go up to their armpits. They can put their toes in the water. They can start testing it, and they can start getting an appreciation for how it can enhance their business.
So, Tom, sometimes leaders of companies, business owners, they see and hear what you're talking about, but they have a behavior style about to them is let's wait and see, let's not early adopt. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the English saying is let's get ready to get ready. Mm-hmm. And a company like you guys are saying, put a toe in the water. What does that? What do all those sayings mean? If I was a business owner, sit back saying, do I have to come? What's that mean? What's that look like?
Well, I think you said it well. Part of it is getting ready to get ready. I think it means from a leadership perspective, we're having conversations about the idea of embracing advanced technology. What does it mean to bring it into our business? And maybe that means we need to have a consultant that specializes in some of these things just come in and educate us a little bit. Like we just need to understand how it applies to our world and our business and what that could mean for us in the future, so that the leadership team actually understands how, in a practical environment, these technologies make a difference or how they're implemented into a business. And by dipping your toe in the water, sometimes that means, peer groups and the consultants and experts and really just having some meaningful conversations about what it means to deal with artificial intelligence, machine learning, large language models, and data sets. I mean, all these geeky things that the business leaders don't necessarily embrace. These are now becoming board-level conversations because the shifts have the potential to be so big in some industries. To be competitive, they need to be thinking about it in their strategic planning and then laying out a plan for 2024 to do some studying, do some learning, embrace it, test it, put some subject matter expertise in place and make some moderate investments now. Learn a little bit about it, and then develop a deeper strategy moving into the future.
I heard a CEO one time say, "That's kind of a black hole. Don't understand it. Mm-hmm. Since I don't understand it, I don't want to go down that hole." Mm-hmm. Do they have to either hire someone who understands it or hire someone? What do you encourage a CEO that sees it as a black hole and it makes them uncomfortable?
Yeah. Bring in the talent, bring it in. I mean, it's like leadership in any way. If you don't have the skills, you need to have the humility to say, I don't have the skills to do this. I need help. And when we have that humility and that attitude, then it's not hard to surround ourselves with the right people that know how to get things done. And this falls into that category. Generational change,
mm-hmm. Is that a segue into this? Because when I think of generational change, I think about your father to you to your son. Are you talking about something different, generational change in leadership with what we're talking about here?
Well, yeah, it is. It's more around, when you think about, for our organization, one of the coolest things that we get to see is when you get somebody who has grown up without a pot to piss in, and then they establish something and they develop a new legacy for their family, so generations. So somebody who didn't get the opportunity to go to college now can give their kids the opportunity to go to college. Or, we have a story of an individual inside the organization who never had a house to grow up in, like car to car, apartment to apartment, couch hopping, and all he wanted for his family was to have a house. And he was able to afford a house and raise his kids in a house, and now that's the norm for generational change inside of their world and their family.
Why is that a thing on our list of things to talk about today? Is that did you bust your generational change?
No, I think it started with my mom and dad because, we were fortunate growing up, but they never let us. They never let us, one, take advantage of it, and they never let us get to a position where we didn't always reach out to offer the helping hand, that it was our responsibility to help others and to create a future in situations where people didn't have it. And that's carried through our, when we think about legacy, something that's important to me is that we're making a broad and wide difference for families that goes into future generations, and it creates opportunities that people wouldn't have otherwise if we didn't reach out that helping hand and give them the chance.
When you talked about that right there, my brain jumped to, I think it was you that said somewhere, either from stage or me, asking, you said, I want to be 25% more than the market for my team. Is that a part of a generational change at all? Would you put it in that bucket, or is that a different subject overall?
Well, I think
that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so we have a goal. We call it the 1, 2, 3, 4 by 4, and that goal is to be able to pay 123% of market for our team. And what we want is that we create the processes, the system. We use advanced technologies in order to have an elite team that's smaller, that can create more work, and we can pay them very well. And so in terms of generational change, it does have an impact, because if we can pay higher than the average business, then they can take more trips, they can create more memories, have better experiences, put money away for college, retire sooner. I mean, so those are things that are meaningful to people. And we have a belief system in our organization that we always want to take care of those within the business that have helped to build the business and pay it forward. And we have such an amazing group of individuals. If we can go above and beyond for them as they do for us so often, then it's a great way to create that shift in the world and make a difference.
Can we switch gears and talk about second chances? Mm-hmm. That's a very interesting topic, because I think some people have the heart. They want to be able to be involved with giving people second chances, but they politically can't for whatever their reasons are.
Yeah. Being just as candid as I can, people fuck up. They make mistakes. People don't get it right every time. And when we live in a society where we expect perfection in all things, and you look at social media and you look at the news, and even in some churches, and it's nothing but criticality, and there's no grace, then that creates a crumbling future. And it's our belief at JMark that people need grace, they need a second chance, they need to be coached through things they've never had the opportunity to fail at, they've never had the opportunity to be exposed to, or maybe they have, but they don't know how actually what success does look like. And so it's important for us to recognize the challenges of life and what goes on, and split decisions and even thought out decisions that you think are right and oftentimes aren't. And if you know that somebody is trying to do the right thing but yet coming short, and all they need is some coaching, why can't we give it to them? Why can't we help somebody? If somebody refuses the coaching or ignores the coaching, that's a different situation. But when you have somebody who's on the path to a better future because they're learning from it and they're focused on making tomorrow better than today, then it's our responsibility to give it to them.
So, Tom, and I'm grateful for you to share some of these things. We talk a little bit about the what of some of the things that you believe in, and the how you accomplish that, just like grace and coaching, such a powerful what and the how. But we miss out on sometimes why people are doing that. Is it selfish? Is it selfless? What is your why on all that stuff?
Oh, it's a good question. It's kind of a deep question. It goes back to when I was young. I had a learning disability, and I wasn't supposed to be the guy that made it. And I was, had a fourth grade teacher that, you've heard the stories, from many others. You're never going to amount to anything, kind of an attitude. And my mom was a special ed teacher, and she refused to believe that, and she fought for me and believed in me and helped me to navigate through all of those things. And I fast forward through high school, which I wasn't an awesome student, but I fought my way through and made it, and went into college and didn't know what the hell I wanted to do in the future. Joined the Navy and worked for a lieutenant who was the biggest asshole you have ever met. I mean, he was horrible. He taught me everything about what a leader should not be. And it was at that point that I made a vow that if I was ever in a position of leadership, that we were going to champion people first, and it had to start there. And if we can lift people up and we can empower them and help them to see a better future than they can even see for themselves, and help them to create a new vision and a new story for the future, then that's where that generational shift starts to take place. It's like, oh, I don't have to be a loser. Like, I can be a winner. Well, why can't we paint that picture, and how do we lay that out for folks? And sometimes all it means is we believe in them and we give them a chance, and that's all it takes, because there's so much of that that's lost in today's world.
I think it's interesting you're talking about we believe in them. We actually believe in people before they actually believe in themselves.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes. And I think it's hard for people. I mean, you said it before we started filming, how often it is that we come across people who are 30 and 40 years old who still struggle with self-confidence. And we want to be a better person. We want to fight for a better future. We want to do those things, but we're constantly questioning ourselves. And I think that comes, I think one of the most important parts of what it means to build that healthy future is to create an ecosystem around every person that builds that trust and confidence, because it starts when others believe in us, and then we start to gain confidence in ourselves, and then we can believe in others from there. And so by putting that right healthy ecosystem around people, then we get to see the flowers blossom.
I like the way you're saying that, because it's probably where you and I aligned a little bit in the beginning of our working relationship, is that I believe a sales professional or a leader in your company, if they believe their self-worth is on the money and I don't need a whole lot of approval, doesn't mean I'm cocky and arrogant about it. It's just more humble and at peace, and then we get to the truth faster. So it's so interesting how we're aligned. You say it better than I do. Let's have an ecosystem and build that from the in out. That's awesome. Can I go back to the Navy?
Yeah.
Just my own curiosity.
Yeah.
I always wish I would have went in the military, and I think I would have been a great soldier, great leader.
You would have been.
Do you believe that if you were the leader of the free world, I follow what you're talking about as far as your Navy guru and your business leadership role you play. Does the military have to be like that? This is a Brett to Tom, honest. Does the military have to be like that to have that chain of command structure, or could they actually come over here and not be an asshole?
Oh yeah, he was one of dozens. He was the asshole. Everybody else was incredible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He, one of the.
I think sometimes a non-military person, we think they're all got to do that.
Yeah. No. I had lieutenants, I had chiefs, I had commanders who were humble, wonderful leaders, but I worked directly for this guy, and he was one of my first impressions coming into the Navy, and so it hit home really, because it was like, oh, if I'm going to have to deal with this for the rest of my military career, then this is going to suck. But I quickly learned that he was more the exception than the rule. That most of the people really were trying to be meaningful leaders. He was greedy and selfish. Yeah.
Interesting.
It was actually a Navy chief who put me on my path. He encouraged me to get out of the Navy. He said, Tom, there's a lot of people that can do what you do in the Navy. He said, but there's not very many people that can go out and be a leader. He said, you'll do more for our country if you go create jobs. I thought he was smoking crack. I didn't have any
prophetic. That was, huh? Wow.
Yeah. It goes back to our story of people believing in you before you believe in yourself. I was like, you're out of your mind. I am a geek. I'm going to play with spreadsheets and databases, and I'm going to build computers and excuse me. And he literally said, you'll create more jobs and do more for our country outside the Navy than you'll do it in.
That's prophetic.
Isn't that crazy? So that's part of the story of why I believe in second chances and fight for people, because I think it's my responsibility to start grooming the next round of leaders within the world, and that's within our company and without, which is a lot of why I wrote Adapt or Die, because I wanted to take the nuggets that I've learned and pass them on in the best way that I could. And so I think the next 20 years is a lot more about how do we take what we've learned in JMark and the gifts that we've been given over the years and lessons and processes and people things and people puzzles and all the things, and how do we spread that out to more businesses so that we can impact more lives. And I'm not sure what that looks like yet, but I think the next round of Tom Douglas is focused on leadership, development, and empowerment of people.
And the good news is you won't be 60 yet in 20 years.
I wish.
So, Tom, wrap up with just what's your thoughts when it comes to that legacy word? You're the legacy advisor this year in our Springfield Business Journal's Trusted Advisor event. What do you want to be remembered by if we were 20 years from now?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that yet. I think I'm still fighting to find it. I think what's important to me today that I know will be important to me in 20 years is that I made a difference for people. We've built an awesome company with awesome people and hopefully changed some lives in a really positive way. But I hope in when people look back at everything we've accomplished that I've been able to be a part of, that it's people are better.